Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we are going to be talking about The Tick on the SNES, and it is awful. For the most part, The Tick is a side-scrolling beat-em-up where you basically beat up a bunch of ninjas. Just an endless, goddamn wave of ninjas. You have no idea how much I was looking forward to there just being a different color of ninjas, because I got tired of beating up the red and blue ones. The game really just felt incredibly monotonous. You can punch, you can kick, and you can call in your buddy Arthur. So I should probably back up a little bit. This is based off the animated series, which was pretty cool and probably the way a lot of people first got introduced to the character of the Tick. And it should have been a lot better than what it was. Even though I think a beat-em-up is a great idea for a superhero game, this one was just kind of crap. Along with the side-scrolling beat-em-up, you have a couple of other things that go on in here. The first is this weird little platforming thing, where you see in a few different stages. Shit gets thrown at you way too fast, it's hard to avoid stuff, and it really just feels incredibly out of place with the rest of the game. I don't understand what they were going for with this. The only goal is to just make it to the end of the level, which is pretty much the same with, the beat-em-up stages, but feels way less satisfying. Then, about halfway through the beat-em-up stages, this happens. One of the other characters, who, in all honesty, should have been a playable character in the game, will drop down, and you'll kind of snap together back to back, and you will either press the punch or the kick button to attack in both directions. You attacking forward, and whoever had the misfortune of stumbling upon you on the street is going to be attacking backwards. Well, that does kind of break up the just boringness of the gameplay. It still isn't good enough, because the only character you can pick from in this is the Tick. He punches, he kicks, he jumps, and that's frickin' it. If there are special moves in this, I couldn't figure out what they were. It was just really goddamn boring, especially when you get to the end of these little stages, where you just have to fight ninjas over and over again until the game gets bored and decides that you can move on. This is where, you start getting the black ninjas and then the white ninjas later on. I was so glad to see them because I got tired of dealing with the others. Well, it is nice to know what you actually have to do or what type of weapons you need to avoid. It's still really goddamn boring. So I will say this, the game looks pretty good. The animations are nice and smooth, the backgrounds are kind of nice. Even the playfield that you're running around on, it looks pretty good. Granted, it's just grass here, but still, it looks pretty good. It does feel like you are playing the Saturday morning cartoon, which is great. I like the way that they have the different ninjas, so hey, this one's going to be throwing things at me, this is going to be, swinging swords, this one has nunchucks, this one has the big frickin' sword. That being said, it's still, just because I like the way it looks doesn't mean it is a good game. It's got a lot of issues with it. It does look pretty good when you do call in Arthur and he swings in and does his attack. It kind of makes me wish he had been a playable character, but still the attack looks pretty good. There is one thing, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it, the guy that swoops in that looks like a weird little missile thing. I don't remember him from the cartoon, I'm sorry. But that one was kind of hard to really notice when that thing was coming. It's also a little hard to get properly lined up with the enemies. And they do have a problem with them kind of slipping off screen a little bit. So they kind of hide. like basically at the edge of the screen. They will hide, and it's sort of hard to hit them that way. It happens a lot with beat 'em ups, but it's just really frickin' annoying here, and it all just plays into how the game looks and everything like that, and just the AI and whatnot. But I'll talk about that in a little bit when I get into my likes and dislikes. Let's get the likes out of the way, since I already mentioned it earlier. I like the way the game looks. The animation's really smooth. I think the enemies, even if they are just basically palette swaps, I think they look okay. I mean, there's not really a whole lot you could have done with the ninjas in this. I think once you call in Arthur, like, his attack looks pretty cool. When you do run into your little buddies that kind of snap onto the back of you, they look nice. Like, the sprites are fairly detailed for what this game is. The backgrounds are nice and the foregrounds are nice. The gameplay, though, is just incredibly frickin' boring. If they had given you a special attack, that would have been cool. They do have the little punch and kick combos, which are kind of fun and they're a little entertaining, but once you've seen them 65 times, it's just, Jesus Christ, can he do something else besides just punch and kick? Like, even throw some weapons in there for him to use. Like, do something to break up just the incredibly boring gameplay, besides having this really awful side-scrolling thing in here. That is the other thing that I really don't like, is how they tried to shoehorn in those side-scrolling levels. They really do not need to be in the game. They don't really add anything. They're just sort of annoying, and it was one more thing for the people who made this game to fuck up. And those are really like the only things that I think they legitimately got bad. They should not have been in the game because they didn't fit with what the game really is, which is a side-scrolling beat 'em up. And then just out of nowhere, they're like, "Hey, by the way, you're going to be doing some platforming, which isn't very good, and you're going to be avoiding things with terrible hit detection," which just, oh god, it was so annoying. It was almost easier to just run through and hope to God that you can avoid all of the hits, because that seemed to work a lot better than actually stopping and trying to dodge and jump over stuff. It was just really frickin' awful. I also feel like they could have thrown in some bosses there, because it's just ninjas, like, the entire frickin' time. I get it. It's kind of the theme of the thing, but there were bad guys that the Tick fought. Like, you could have thrown in some of the bad guys for him to deal with from the actual cartoon show or from the comics or something like that, to at least make it a little bit more entertaining, instead of just, okay, here's another color ninja that you can deal with, and we'll give him a different weapon so it doesn't feel like, it feels like you're actually progressing through the game or something like that. I feel like it had the elements of being a good game, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't. If they had more than just one playable character, it would have been a lot better, but god damn, it was awful. When I think of the Tick, I usually think of either the live-action TV shows or I think of the Saturday morning cartoon show. And in those, the Tick is just a lovable doofus who seems to be indestructible and can just beat the crap out of things. And that's kind of what you get with the game, sort of. There are some funny moments in it, but for the most part, there's not really a great story. You only have one player on there. And yeah, you can only play as the Tick. There are no bosses. There's some crappy platforming stuff. I think it could have been and probably should have been a good game, but unfortunately it just wasn't. I don't know what the problem was, like maybe it was licensing issues or something like that, but it just didn't end up being a very good game. That being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd really love to hear what your opinion is of this game, or really other licensed games. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.